Hello, my wonderful English learners, and welcome back to the Best English Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and I am so happy to have you here today. If you're learning English and feel a bit stuck, or maybe even a little stressed by all the things you think you should be doing, then this long episode is just for you. We're going to talk about something that might sound too good to be true, but I promise it's totally possible. Learning English easily. If you stick with me and watch all the videos, I promise, learning English will start to feel so much easier. I'm not here to give you boring grammar rules or endless vocabulary lists. I'm here to help you improve your English through real-life stories that make sense, feel real, and help you speak naturally. So, please keep watching each video. Step by step, you'll build your confidence, expand your vocabulary, and start thinking in English. Let's make your English journey simple, fun, and truly effortless. Now, before you think, that's impossible. Learning a language is always hard work. Please listen to me. When I say easily, I don't mean without any effort. That would be a dream, wouldn't it? What I really mean is learning with smart effort, learning with joy, and learning in a way that fits so smoothly into your life that it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. Instead, it becomes a natural, fun part of your day. It's about changing how you see things, from a tough climb up a hill to a pleasant walk in a beautiful garden. In this garden, every new flower, every new word, every new phrase brings a feeling of wonder and success. For a long time, we've been taught that learning a language must be a struggle. We picture endless hours with grammar books, memorizing word lists until our heads hurt, and forcing ourselves into uncomfortable talks. And while being dedicated is important, we often misunderstand what kind of dedication. It's not about how hard you push yourself, but how smart you learn and how much fun you have doing it. When you have fun, the effort almost disappears, right? It turns into curiosity, into wanting to learn, into a real wish to connect with the language. To show you what I mean, let me tell you a story about someone I knew. Let's call him Leo. Leo was a very smart young man, very determined, and he really wanted to speak English perfectly. He had been studying for years, and his English was pretty good at an intermediate level. But he felt completely stuck. Every morning he'd wake up, look at his strict schedule, and feel a knot of worry in his stomach. He had planned 2 hours for grammar exercises, an hour for word flashcards, another hour for listening to news he barely understood. And then, if he had any energy left, he'd try to make himself talk to a language partner, often feeling bad about his own mistakes. Leo truly believed that the more he suffered, the more he'd learn. He'd push himself until he was exhausted, often feeling like a failure because he didn't see much progress. He'd get upset with himself for every forgotten word, every grammar mistake. His English journey was a constant fight against himself. He'd tell me, "I'm working so hard, but it feels like I'm not moving forward. It's so difficult." He was trying to learn English by forcing it, and it was tiring him out, making the whole process feel heavy and joyless. He was so focused on the effort itself that he forgot why he was making the effort, to enjoy talking and understanding. One day, completely worn out, Leo decided to take a break from his strict routine. He started watching English TV shows, not with a dictionary next to him, but just for fun, with English words on the screen. He found a podcast about his favorite hobby, space, and started listening while he cooked dinner. He caught himself humming along to English songs, looking up a few words here and there because he was genuinely curious. He even started writing short, simple emails to a pen pal he found online, not worrying about being perfect, but just trying to share his thoughts. Slowly, almost without him noticing, something changed. He wasn't trying to learn, he was living in English. He was doing things with English that made him happy. The pressure was gone, and in its place, a quiet, steady curiosity began to grow. He was still spending time, but it no longer felt like effort in his old way of thinking. It felt like life. And guess what? His English started to get better, not in huge jumps, but steadily, naturally, and yes, easily. He was no longer stuck, he was flowing. This brings us to the main point we're going to explore today, the power of how you think. What we believe about learning, about our own skills, and about mistakes really shapes how we experience things and how much we improve. Do you approach English with a fixed mindset, believing that your intelligence or your language ability is something you're born with, something you either have or you don't? If you believe you're not good at languages or that grammar is too hard for me, then every challenge will seem to prove that belief and you'll be less likely to keep going. This fixed mindset often makes people avoid hard situations, like speaking, because the fear of making a mistake feels like a threat to their self-worth. But what if you used a growth mindset? What if you truly believed that you can improve your skills through dedication and hard work? And remember, we're talking smart work here, not just hard work. With a growth mindset, mistakes are not failures. They are very helpful feedback, signs on your path to getting better. They tell you exactly where you need to focus next. Think of it like this: when a baby learns to walk, they fall down many times. Do they give up? Do they think, "Oh, I'm just not a walker"? Of course not. They get back up, wobble, fall again, and eventually they walk, then run. Every fall teaches them about balance. Your English journey is the same. Every stumble, every word said wrong, every grammar mistake is simply a step towards speaking smoothly. Accepting mistakes is perhaps the most freeing thing you can do as an intermediate learner. The fear of speaking, the hesitation to try new phrases, often comes from this deep fear of being wrong, of being judged. But let me tell you, every single native English speaker you admire, every fluent non-native speaker you look up to, has made thousands, if not millions, of mistakes on their journey. It's part of how we learn. It's how the brain learns, changes, and remembers new information. When you make a mistake and fix it, that learning path in your brain becomes stronger, more solid. So, instead of being afraid of errors, actively look for them. See them as chances to learn something new. For a moment, I want you to try a little mental exercise with me. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or just look softly. Now, I want you to imagine yourself speaking English smoothly, confidently, and easily. You're having a conversation, maybe with a new friend, or giving a talk at work, or simply ordering coffee in another country. Notice how you feel. Are you relaxed? Are you smiling? Can you hear the words coming out naturally? Now, I want you to repeat this phrase to yourself, out loud or in your mind. My English is improving every single day. Every mistake I make helps me learn and grow. I am a capable and curious English learner. Feel those words inside you. This isn't just wishing, it's a strong statement that helps to train your brain for success. Open your eyes when you're ready. This change in how you think, from hard effort to fun involvement, from fear of mistakes to welcoming them, is the first step towards truly learning English easily. It sets the stage for everything else we're going to talk about. Now, we'll look at how to improve your listening skills in a way that feels natural and truly interesting, making every audio experience a chance to grow, without the hard work. We're continuing our deep dive into learning English easily, and in this part, we're going to focus on one of the most basic but often misunderstood skills: listening. You might think, oh, I listen to English all the time, but there's a very important difference we need to understand right away: the difference between passive listening and active listening. Passive listening is what many of us do without even knowing it. It's having English audio playing in the background while you're doing something else: cooking, cleaning, driving. While this can give you some small exposure, it's a bit like trying to fill a bucket with a leaky hose. Some water gets in, sure, but a lot is lost. Your brain isn't fully focused, isn't actively trying to understand the sounds, the small details, the meaning. It's a good start for beginners, but for you, as an intermediate learner, it's time to do more. Active listening, on the other hand, is a conscious, focused effort to understand. It's about using your brain, trying to get the main ideas, find important words, and even notice how the speaker sounds and what they mean. Think of it like being a detective. You're not just hearing sounds, you're listening for clues, putting together the puzzle of meaning. Let me tell you a story about a smart but made-up detective named Anya. Anya wasn't just good at solving mysteries, she was a master at listening. When she talked to someone she suspected, she didn't just hear their words. She listened to how they said them: the slight pause before a certain phrase, the change in their voice when a sensitive topic came up, the specific words they chose. She listened for what wasn't said, for the gaps and the hidden meanings. She'd ask herself, what's the main point they're trying to say? What specific details are they giving? Are there any words or phrases that seem especially important or strange? By actively listening, by treating every conversation like a puzzle to solve, Anya was able to notice small hints that others missed, leading her to big discoveries. For us, learning English, we need to be like Anya. We need to listen not just to hear, but to understand, to figure out, to learn. So, how do we develop this detective's ear? It starts with choosing what you listen to. Forget the idea that you have to listen to boring academic talks or news if they don't interest you. The key to easy listening is to surround yourself with content that you truly enjoy. This is where the magic happens. If you love cooking, find English cooking shows or podcasts. If you're passionate about history, look for documentaries or audiobooks about history. When you're interested, your brain is naturally more engaged, and learning just happens as you enjoy yourself. Beyond podcasts, the world of English audio is huge and exciting. Think about TV shows and movies. These are great because you can see what's happening, which can really help you understand. Start with something you've already watched in your own language, then watch it again in English with English words on the screen. This helps your brain connect the story and pictures you know with the new sounds and words. Once you feel comfortable, try watching with English words only. This is a very important step. It makes your brain rely more on the sound while still giving you a safety net for words you don't know. Finally, when you're ready, challenge yourself to watch without any words on the screen at all. Don't worry if you don't understand every single word. The goal is to get the main idea and enjoy the experience. Remember, getting better is more important than being perfect. Audiobooks are another amazing tool, especially for intermediate learners. Many old and new books are available as audiobooks, often read by professional speakers who pronounce words clearly. You can often find easier versions or graded readers that come with audio, made just for language learners. Music, too, is a powerful tool. Listen to English songs you love, look up the words, sing along. This is a great way to improve how you say words, the rhythm of your speech, and natural phrases, all while having fun. Don't forget how a catchy song can help you remember new words and phrases. When choosing what to listen to, aim for what language experts call comprehensible input. This means content that is a little bit harder than your current level. Not so easy that you're bored, but not so hard that you're completely lost. It should be challenging enough to introduce new words and sentence structures, but easy enough that you can still follow the main ideas. If you feel totally overwhelmed, it's too hard. If you understand absolutely everything, it might be too easy. Find that sweet spot where you're learning new things, but still having fun. Now, let's talk about a technique that might seem strange but is incredibly powerful: repetition and shadowing. Many learners feel like listening to something again is a waste of time, that they should always be looking for new things. But actually, listening again, especially to something you've already listened to carefully, is how you really learn and remember things. Each time you listen again, you might notice a small detail you missed before, or a word that was unclear suddenly makes sense. It's like walking a familiar path again. Each time you walk it, you notice new details, new textures, new sounds. And then there's shadowing. Have you heard of it? Shadowing is a technique where you listen to an English speaker and try to speak along with them, almost at the same time, like an echo. You're not just repeating after them. You're trying to copy their rhythm, their voice's up and down pattern, their speed, and how they say words as closely as possible. It's like being a language parrot, but a very smart, intentional parrot. Why is shadowing so effective? Well, it makes you use both your listening and speaking skills at the same time. It helps you learn the natural flow of English, its musical sound, and where to put stress on words. It improves how you say words without you even realizing you're practicing pronunciation in a formal way. It builds muscle memory in your mouth and tongue for English sounds. Here's a step-by-step guide to shadowing well. First, choose a short audio clip, maybe 30 seconds to a minute long. A clear speaker, like from a podcast or a short news report, is best. Second, listen to the clip several times passively, just to get the main idea. Third, listen again, this time with a written text if you have one, and try to understand every word. Look up any words you don't know. Fourth, now for the shadowing. Play the audio and try to speak along with the speaker, just a tiny bit behind them. Don't worry about understanding the meaning at this point. Just focus on copying the sounds, the rhythm, the voice pattern. It will feel strange at first, maybe even a little silly, but keep going. Do this several times. Fifth, record yourself shadowing and compare it to the original. This is where you'll see how much you've improved and what you need to work on. Let's try a very short practice right now. I'm going to say a simple sentence, and I want you to try to shadow me. Don't worry about being perfect. Just try to match my rhythm and how my voice goes up and down. Ready? The sun always shines brightest after the rain. Now, try it again, trying to match my speed and flow. The sun always shines brightest after the rain. Excellent. You can do this with any audio you choose. Start with short phrases, then move to sentences, and eventually, longer parts. Make it a regular part of your listening time. It changes passive listening into a very active and helpful exercise. By carefully choosing what you listen to and using techniques like shadowing, you'll find that your listening comprehension gets much better, and your pronunciation will improve too, all without feeling like a boring task. It becomes a natural, almost automatic way to learn. Now, we'll talk about speaking and building that very important confidence, turning what you know into what you can actually say. We've already talked about changing how you think and how to make your listening skills strong easily. Now, it's time to deal with what many intermediate learners find to be the hardest part of learning a language: speaking. The silence barrier, as I like to call it, is that invisible wall that stops us from opening our mouths, even when we know the words are in our heads. It's often built from fear of being judged, fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding silly. But I promise you, breaking through this wall is not only possible, but can make you feel incredibly free. Let me tell you about Maya, whom I lovingly call the shy explorer. Maya loved to travel. She was fascinated by different cultures, and she enjoyed reading about new places in English. Her listening was great, and she could read difficult articles easily. But when it came to speaking, she froze. She'd planned trips, carefully researching every detail, but the idea of having to ask for directions or order food in English would fill her with worry. She once told me about a trip to London where she spent a whole afternoon walking around, lost, because she was too afraid to ask for help. She knew the words, she understood the answers she might get, but the words just wouldn't come out. She felt like she was pretending, a quiet watcher in a world she really wanted to be a part of. Maya's big change happened when she realized that her fear of not being perfect was stopping her from living life fully. She decided to start small. Her first step was to simply talk about her day to herself, in English when she was alone. "Okay, I'm making coffee now. I need to pour the water. The kettle is boiling." It felt strange at first, but it built a tiny bit of confidence. Then, she started recording short voice messages on her phone, talking about her thoughts or summarizing a book she'd read. She didn't listen back right away. The goal was just to get the words out. Slowly, the sound of her own voice speaking English felt less strange, more natural. Her next brave step was to find a language exchange partner online. She started by sending text messages, then moved to short voice messages, and eventually to video calls. She made a promise to herself: she would speak for at least 5 minutes, no matter how awkward it felt. And you know what? Her partners were incredibly supportive. They understood her struggles because they were learning languages too. Maya found out that most people are much more interested in connecting and understanding than in judging perfect grammar. Slowly, Maya changed from the shy watcher to the confident explorer, able to move through new cities and new conversations, with a real smile and a willingness to try. Her story reminds us that every fluent speaker started exactly where we are, and their journey was built with small, steady acts of bravery. So, how can you start breaking your own silence barrier? Like Maya did, start small. Talk to yourself. Really. Talk about what you're doing, describe things around you, or just say your thoughts in English. This helps you get used to the sound of your own voice speaking the language. You can do this in the shower, while cooking, or even silently in your head. Another powerful way is to record yourself. Use your phone to record short talks about your day, your opinions on a topic, or a summary of something you've read or heard. Don't worry about listening back right away if that feels too hard. The act of speaking and recording is a success in itself. When you're ready, listen back, not to criticize, but to find ways to improve and to celebrate your progress. Once you're comfortable talking to yourself, the next important step is to find people to speak with. Talking with others is the most important part of learning a language. You can know all the grammar rules and words in the world, but if you can't use them in real conversations, they stay in your head. The good news is, the internet has made finding speaking partners very easy. Websites and apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, or even special online teachers connect you with native speakers or other learners from all over the world. When you talk with a language partner, remember a few key tips for a good conversation. First, be ready. Have a few topics in mind that you'd like to talk about. It could be your hobbies, your culture, something that happened recently, or even just what you did that day. This stops awkward silences and gives you a starting point. Second, ask open questions. Instead of, "Did you have a good day?" which gets a simple yes or no answer, try, "What was the most interesting thing that happened to you today?" This encourages longer, more detailed answers and keeps the conversation going. Third, don't be afraid to ask for clearer explanations or for them to repeat something. Phrases like, "Could you say that again, please?" or "What does that word mean?" are perfectly fine and show that you're interested and eager to learn. And remember, it works both ways. Be patient and supportive with your partner too, especially if they are learning your native language. Besides online platforms, think about local conversation groups or meetups if they are in your area. These give you a relaxed, informal place to practice speaking with other learners and sometimes native speakers. The key is to create chances for yourself to speak, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes a day. Being consistent, not doing a lot at once, is what really matters here. As you get more confident, you'll stop focusing on just speaking and start aiming for flow. What does flow mean in language? It's when your words come out naturally, without too many pauses, when you can share your thoughts and feelings without always translating in your head. It's less about perfect grammar and more about speaking naturally, about getting your message across effectively and smoothly. To get this flow, we need to understand the natural rhythm and music of English. This includes using natural pauses, changing the sound of your voice, and even using common filler words or connecting words that native speakers use. Words like you know, like, I mean, well, so, right. These are not signs of bad English. They are natural parts of spoken conversation that give you a moment to think and make your speech sound more real. Don't use them too much, of course, but don't be afraid to let them come out naturally. Here are a couple of simple exercises to help you develop flow and natural speaking. First, try describing a picture. Find any interesting image, maybe a landscape, a busy street, or people talking. Look at it for a minute, then try to describe everything you see, what you think is happening, what feelings the picture brings up, and what might happen next. Don't worry about pausing or repeating yourself. Just let the words come out. Try to use descriptive words and action words. For example, if you see a fluffy brown dog running in a park, you might say, "I see a fluffy brown dog. It's running very fast across the green grass. It looks happy, its tail is wagging. Maybe it's chasing a ball, or perhaps it's just enjoying the sunshine." Another great exercise is to act out common situations. You don't need a partner for this. You can do it by yourself. Imagine you're at a coffee shop ordering a drink, or checking into a hotel, or asking for directions. Play both parts. For example, you could be the customer and then switch to being the barista. This helps you practice specific phrases and answers in a low-pressure setting. "Excuse me, could I get a large latte, please?" "Certainly. Anything else for you today?" "No, that's all, thank you." "All right, that'll be $5. See? Even simple talks build confidence and speaking ability. The main thing is to make speaking a regular, fun part of your routine. Don't wait until you feel ready or perfect. Start speaking now, accept the imperfections, and celebrate every single word that comes out of your mouth. Remember Maya, the shy explorer, and how she turned her fear into freedom. Your voice deserves to be heard in English, and with steady, fun practice, it will flow easily. Now, we'll look at reading and how to learn new words in a smart, connected way. We've already talked about changing your mindset, getting better at listening, and bravely starting to speak. Now, it's time to unlock the huge power of reading and find out how to learn new English words easily. For many intermediate learners, reading can feel like a chore, a constant fight with the dictionary. But what if I told you that reading could be one of the most enjoyable and effective ways to truly learn English deeply? The key is to change how you read. Instead of reading to be perfect, read for fun and purpose. Moving beyond just textbooks and grammar exercises is very important here. While those are useful, real reading materials offer a richness and realness that textbooks often lack. Think about graded readers, which are books written especially for people learning a language with simpler words and grammar. They let you enjoy a story without getting stuck on too many unknown words. But don't stop there. Look for simpler news articles, blogs about your hobbies, short stories, or even children's books. The goal is to read things that you are truly interested in. This idea is often called extensive reading, and its power comes from reading a lot and enjoying it, not from looking up every single word. When you read a lot, you are seeing a huge amount of English that you can understand. Your brain starts to notice patterns, grammar structures, and new words naturally, almost without you thinking about it. It's like a child learning their first language. They don't sit down with a dictionary, do they? They learn words and phrases by seeing them many times in different, meaningful situations. Let me share the story of a young woman named Clara, whom I lovingly call the bookworm's breakthrough. Clara loved reading in her own language, but she found reading in English very frustrating. Every paragraph felt like a test of her vocabulary. She'd stop every few words to look something up, and by the time she finished a sentence, she'd forgotten what the beginning was about. She was so focused on understanding every single word that she lost the joy of the story. Her reading felt like a slow, painful crawl. One day, Clara was completely tired. She decided to take a break from her strict study plan. She found a series of young adult fantasy novels that she had always wanted to read, and they happened to be available as graded readers in English. She was not sure, but curious, so Clara picked up the first book. She made a rule for herself. She would not stop to look up every word. If she could understand the general meaning of a sentence or a paragraph, she would keep reading. She allowed herself to guess the meaning of words she didn't know from the other words around them, or just accept that she wouldn't understand everything perfectly. At first, it was hard. She felt a little worried every time she skipped a word. But as she got deeper into the story, she became completely absorbed. The characters, the plot, the magic, they pulled her in. She found herself reading for longer times, sometimes forgetting she was even reading in English. When she finished the first book, she felt a strong sense of success, not because she understood every single word, but because she had enjoyed the whole journey. She moved on to the next book in the series, then another, slowly moving to harder texts. Slowly, almost like magic, her vocabulary grew. Her understanding of grammar became deeper, and her reading speed increased. The words that once seemed strange now felt familiar, because she had seen them many times in different interesting situations. Clara's breakthrough wasn't about memorizing lists, it was about falling in love with stories in English. This leads us directly into smart ways to learn new words. The old way of memorizing long lists of single words is often not very effective and you forget them quickly. The best way to learn new words is in context. When you find a new word while reading or listening, try to guess its meaning from the words and sentences around it. Then, if you still don't understand, look it up. But importantly, don't just look up the definition. Look at how the word is used in a sentence. Notice its common partners, the words it often appears with. Is it a verb, a noun, an adjective? Does it have a positive or negative feeling? For remembering words actively, think about using spaced repetition system SRS apps like Anki. Anki is a powerful flashcard program that uses a special method to show you flashcards just before you're about to forget them. Instead of just putting a word on one side and its translation on the other, create flashcards with the new word in a complete sentence, or even with a picture. This helps you learn the word in a real situation. For example, if you learn the word ubiquitous, instead of just ubiquitous warzo everywhere, your flashcard might say, smartphones are now ubiquitous in modern society. This makes the words stick much better. Another fantastic tool is a personal vocabulary notebook, whether it's a paper notebook or a digital document. When you find a new word or phrase, write it down. Don't just write the word and its translation. Write the whole sentence where you found it. Add words that mean the same, words that mean the opposite, and any related words. Draw a small picture next to it if that helps you remember. For example, if you learn to procrastinate, you might write, I always procrastinate when I have to do my taxes. Then add, same meaning, delay. Opposite meaning, act immediately. Related, procrastination noun. This active work with the word helps to make it stay in your memory. And what about those tricky idioms and phrasal verbs? They can feel like a secret code, can't they? The best way to learn them is, again, by seeing them in context and many times. Don't try to memorize hundreds of them at once. When you see one, try to understand what it means from the story or conversation. If you need to look up, great. But then, try to use it in a sentence of your own. For example, if you hear break a leg before a performance, you'll likely understand it means good luck. Then you could try saying to yourself, I'm giving a presentation tomorrow, so wish me luck. Or as they say, break a leg. Using it actively like this is key. Good note-taking isn't just about collecting words. It's about organizing them so that reviewing is easy. Group related words together, maybe by topic or by their grammar type. Use different colored pens or digital tags to sort words. The goal is to make your notes a living, useful resource that you enjoy looking at again. And speaking of looking at again, regular review is super important. But regular doesn't mean hours of boring drills. It means short, steady times. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day looking at your flashcards or your vocabulary notebook. This spaced repetition, whether with an app or by hand, is proven by science to be more effective than trying to learn everything at once. It strengthens the connections in your brain, moving words from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. Let's try a quick practice to help you understand these ideas better. I'm going to give you a short sentence with a blank space, and I want you to think of a word that fits naturally into the sentence, based on what we've talked about regarding learning easily. To truly learn English, you need to find joy in the process. What word comes to mind? Effortlessly, right? That's the power of context. Now, another one. Clara's English improved a lot because she focused on reading, rather than looking up every single word. The word we discussed was extensive. See how your brain naturally fills in the blanks when the meaning is clear? This is exactly how your vocabulary will grow when you surround yourself with interesting reading materials. By reading for fun, actively working with new words in context, and using smart ways to review, your vocabulary will grow naturally and easily, making your understanding and speaking better. Now, we'll bring all these ideas together, talking about how grammar fits into this easy approach and the power of learning all skills together. We've talked about how you think, how to listen, how to speak, how to read, and how to learn new words. Now, it's time to talk about something that many intermediate learners find very difficult: grammar. For so long, grammar has been shown as a big, tough castle of rules, exceptions, and confusing terms. It often makes learners feel overwhelmed and discouraged. But what if we could make grammar less stressful, seeing it not as strict laws to memorize, but as a flexible tool for clear communication? What if we could learn it naturally, almost easily, just like we've been learning other skills? The secret is to change how you see it. Instead of seeing grammar as a separate, abstract subject, see it as the basic structure that helps you understand and use the English you're already hearing and speaking. It's the framework that allows your words to connect logically and share what you mean. Think of it less like a math problem and more like the bones of a body, essential for structure, but not the whole person. The best way to learn grammar, especially at the intermediate level, is by being exposed to it and noticing patterns. When you're actively listening to podcasts, watching TV shows, or reading books, your brain is constantly processing grammar rules, even if you're not thinking about it. You start to notice how native speakers use certain verb forms, how they ask questions, or how they connect ideas. This is called implicit learning, and it's very powerful because it builds a natural understanding of the language. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, David, whom I call the accidental grammarian. David hated grammar lessons. He found them boring, confusing, and completely separate from real English. He tried to memorize verb groups and conditional sentences, but the moment he tried to speak, all the rules would disappear from his mind. He felt like he was always making mistakes, especially with verb tenses. One day, David decided to stop focusing on grammar books completely. Instead, he became obsessed with a specific English YouTube channel that reviewed video games. He watched every single video, sometimes many times, not to learn English, but because he truly loved the content. He'd listen carefully to the reviewers' opinions, their descriptions of gameplay, and their guesses for future games. He'd even try to copy their excited tone and way of speaking while talking to himself. Slowly, without ever opening a grammar book, David started to notice patterns. He realized that when the reviewer talked about something that always happens in a game, they used the simple present tense. When they talked about something that had happened before the current moment, they used the present perfect. When they discussed imaginary situations, they used conditional forms. He wasn't memorizing rules, he was learning patterns from seeing them many times in a meaningful way. Eventually, he found himself using these verb tenses correctly in his own conversations, not because he remembered a specific rule, but because it felt right, it sounded natural. David became an accidental grammarian, learning complex structures easily through his passion for video games. His story shows that when you enjoy the content you're using, grammar becomes a natural part of your learning, not a separate, painful study. So, how do you use this? When you find a grammar structure that confuses you while listening or reading, Instead of immediately looking in a grammar book, try to find other examples of that structure being used. Notice how it's used in different situations. If you're having trouble with conditionals, for example, try to find a podcast where people talk about imaginary situations, or a short story where characters talk about what if. Pay attention to the patterns. If you still need a rule, then look it up, but always connect it back to the real-world examples you've found. This way, grammar becomes real and useful, instead of abstract and scary. This brings us to the huge power of learning all skills together. We've talked about listening, speaking, reading, and vocabulary as separate parts, but in reality, they are deeply connected and constantly help each other. When you listen, you're learning new words and grammar structures. When you read, you're seeing those words and structures written down, making your understanding stronger. When you speak, you're actively using those words and structures, turning what you know into what you can do. And when you write, you're putting everything together, making yourself organize your thoughts and use grammar rules consciously. Think about learning through projects. Instead of separate exercises, give yourself a small, easy project that requires you to use all 4 skills. For example, you could decide to give a short 5-minute presentation in English on a topic you care about. To do this, you would listen. Watch YouTube videos or listen to podcasts about good presentations or your chosen topic. Read. Research your topic online, reading articles and blogs in English. Write. Write your presentation script. Paying attention to how it's organized, the words you use, and the grammar. Speak. Practice giving your presentation, maybe recording yourself and listening back to find areas to improve. Another great way to use all skills together is through a language journal. This is not just a notebook for words. It's a place where you can freely express yourself in English. Every day or a few times a week, write about anything that comes to mind. Your day, your feelings, a movie you watched, an article you read, a dream you had. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to get your thoughts onto paper or screen in English. As you write, you'll naturally find gaps in your vocabulary or times when you're not sure about grammar. This is your chance to look things up, to learn actively, and to make your understanding solid. You can then read what you've written, perhaps even read it out loud to practice your speaking. This journal becomes a powerful tool for learning by yourself, using all skills together. Finally, and this is perhaps the most important idea for easy learning, being consistent is better than doing a lot at once. Many learners make the mistake of studying for many hours, getting tired, and then taking long breaks. This learn a lot then stop way is much less effective than doing a little bit every single day. Think of it like building a muscle. You wouldn't go to the gym for 10 hours, once a week, and expect to get strong. You go for 30 minutes to an hour, several times a week, steadily. Language learning is exactly the same. Let me tell you about Sarah, the marathoner's secret. Sarah wasn't the fastest runner, nor the most naturally talented, but she was very consistent. Every single day, no matter the weather, she would run for 30 minutes. Some days she felt great and ran fast. Other days she felt tired and ran slowly. But she always ran. Her friends, who would train very hard for a few weeks and then stop for months, would be amazed at her steady progress. They'd ask, "How do you do it, Sarah? How do you stay so motivated?" And Sarah would simply smile and say, "It's not about being motivated every day. It's about habit. It's just what I do." Sarah's secret works perfectly for learning English. It's not about finding many hours of special study time every day. It's about making English a part of your daily life. Can you listen to an English podcast while you travel to work? Can you read an English article during your coffee break? Can you talk about your cooking in English? Can you spend 5 minutes reviewing your words before bed? These small, steady actions add up to huge progress over time. They become habits, not chores. And that's where the easy magic truly happens. When English becomes a natural part of your routine, it stops feeling like learning and starts feeling like living. By making grammar less stressful and learning all your skills together through steady, enjoyable exposure, you're not just learning English, you're absorbing it, making it a natural part of who you are. This brings us to the end of our detailed talk. Now, I'll give some last thoughts and encouragement, helping you use these ideas in your own unique journey. And here we are, my dedicated English learners, at the end of our long journey into learning English easily. I truly hope this deep dive has given you not just new ways to learn, but a fresh feeling of hope and excitement for your language learning adventure. We've covered so much together, from changing your basic way of thinking to accepting mistakes, to actively listening, bravely speaking, diving into reading, and finally, learning grammar naturally as part of your understanding. Let's quickly review the main ideas that make this easy approach work. Remember, it's not about avoiding effort completely, but about using your energy smartly and happily. It's about having a growth mindset, seeing every challenge as a chance to learn and every mistake as a valuable lesson. It's about changing passive listening into active involvement, whether you're listening like a detective or copying a native speaker. It's about finding your voice and speaking with courage, even when it feels imperfect, knowing that every word you say builds confidence. It's about reading for enjoyment, letting stories and interesting content help you learn new words naturally, and using smart tools like spaced repetition to remember words easily. And it's about understanding that grammar is a tool for communication, best learned by seeing it in real situations and noticing patterns, fitting smoothly with all your other skills. Most importantly, it's about being consistent rather than doing a lot at once, making English a part of your daily life through small, fun, regular actions. Now, as we finish, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by all the information we've shared. The great thing about this way of learning is that you don't have to do everything at once. My strongest suggestion for you right now is to choose just 1 or 2 methods that you liked the most today. Maybe it's deciding to listen actively to a podcast you love for 15 minutes, or starting a simple language journal, or finding one online speaking partner for a weekly chat. Pick something that feels exciting and easy to manage, something you can really add to your routine starting today. Remember to be very kind and understanding with yourself during this journey. There will be days when you feel motivated and days when you don't. There will be times when you succeed and times when you feel frustrated. This is all perfectly normal. Celebrate every small success, every new word you understand, every sentence you form, every conversation you have, no matter how short. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Your English journey is like a marathon, not a quick race, and the most successful marathon runners are those who enjoy the process, keep a steady pace, and never stop moving forward. You are capable, you are curious, and you are absolutely on your way to speaking and understanding English with a new feeling of ease and joy. Keep exploring, keep getting involved, and keep believing in your amazing ability to learn. The world of English is vast and waiting for you to discover it easily. Thank you so much for joining me on the Best English podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please think about subscribing, sharing it with a friend who might benefit, and leaving us a review. Your support helps us reach more learners like you. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep shining.